Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. This is our first lecture on highway material and construction. The code is CE 566. What are the contents? These are the content actually what we start from. First, we'll go with the general introduction of the subject. We start then with the rock and soil. Then there is soil water interaction. The main topic in that will be permeability, capillary rise, and cross section. Aggregates will be our third topic, and we'll discuss about the production and beneficiation, how aggregates are produced, what are the test and specifications required in selecting one or other type of aggregate, and how to blend them for successful combination, especially with reference to mixing with an asphalt or producing an asphalt concrete. What proportion of aggregate should be added? So this is the main topic that will be covered in aggregates. Then comes an asphalt. We talk about its background, chemical composition, asphalt cement itself, how it is produced, what are the using, how it is being identified, means grading system, how you test an asphalt, or what are other types of asphalt like cutbacks and emulsions, and what are the properties that are pertinent, and what happens to an asphalt uh, when you use it as a road material, different stages of the pavement life. There comes a very important topic, that how you design a bituminous mixture, how asphalt concrete is produced, how you proportionate it. So the main topic in that will be weight volume relationship. Then Marshall method, it's a most common and adopted and accepted method of mix design in the country. And then there is a latest, the latest, when I say latest, it's actually, it's 15 years now that people started using super pave. So this, what is super pave? Super pave is also a method of designing a bituminous mixture. Then we'll talk about this asphalt mixing, grade and paving, and we talk about how this mix, there are plant mix and the drum mix and the asphalt paving operations, different, how you lay an asphalt, because the subject is highway materials and construction. So not only the materials will be taught, but how the construction, what construction techniques are adopted, and obviously we'll have a length discussion on how you improve upon the quality of the mix, you take care of the mix, and then what are other types of construction, because when in the topic 5 we said is the design of bituminous mixture, it means there is a production of asphalt concrete or bituminous concrete, then we lay it. But this is not the way, only way of having an asphalt concrete road. The other way is what we call, we don't mix an asphalt concrete. Rather we lay it in different layers and then we compact. So these techniques are called surface treatment. It is the cheaper method of construction and also being used especially in the shoulders of an highway. So again, these techniques we must know, or even for the overlay or laying an additional layer of an asphalt, we use this technique as what we call a surface treatment. Uh, then there is book. There is always a standard book. This standard book is the Asphalt Handbook, Manual C number 4. Then nowadays there is a book known as Highway Engineering, Pavement Materials and Controls of Quality. ADNAN and Nicolaides is the author, and obviously this is the new book, and also PDF is also there on the website if you select it. So these are the things, and obviously these lectures will be supported by the handouts and the class notes, the PowerPoint presentation time again, and that will be shared in your classroom folder. I'll try to do it just before your lecture day. So let's talk about why we need to study highway materials. What knowledge area you will gain, what you will study, and why we need to study these materials. So if you look at this scenario, there is always a material and construction optimization. You may have a very good construction equipment. You may have a very good QEC cell operating for construction of a road, qualified people. But if you have not selected the appropriate material in designing, or if even the materials are being designed and the quality of the material is not checked, we are in disaster. So when we say materials, the main component is an aggregate. Aggregate contribute 95 to 96% by weight normally in asphalt concrete. In asphalt, in Portland cement concrete, it contributes around 87% or 86%. So aggregate plays an important role in construction of highway. Obviously, when you talk about Portland cement, then we have to have some admixtures as well. These are called chemical admixtures. In this scenario, in this world now, this modern world, we also used admixtures in asphalt concrete, but the form is different. We use actually polymer modifier in asphalt concrete. Some people use rubber modifier in asphalt concrete. So even though they are not admixture, but actually they are modified that actually enhance the property of an asphalt itself, and consequently, once the property of asphalt enhances, all the mixture will also enhance. So mixing, again, if you then mix an aggregate with materials, you will have to mix it in a proper manner. And once you do it, you have to transport it to the site here, and then you have to place that material. Now, if it is an cement concrete, there are curing method. But even for an asphalt concrete, it's not curing, but we allow to asphalt to settle after rolling. And it takes sometimes a day. So this is where my difference with the people who says that if you are comparing a rigid pavement, a pavement made with an asphalt concrete, with a pavement made with a cement concrete, a rigid pavement and a flexible pavement, you will find most of the books writing that The main difference is that in an asphalt concrete, the road can be open on the second day, on immediately after the traffic. And that's where I tend to contradict with the people. Because yes, we can open the road for the traffic provided the ambient temperature at the site is well below 50 degrees centigrade. If the ambient temperature is above 50 degrees centigrade, you are not going to open the road because the asphalt will not settle. Asphalt not get compacted. Asphalt is not cooled enough to take the shape of asphalt concrete. And if you open that at that temperature, all your asphalt will be worn out. It will be soft and that will be a disaster. So yes, you can open the road uh, after the compaction is finished, depending upon the temperature at the site. Yes, to some extent, we cannot open a road of cement concrete before 14 days or before 7 days during time. That's obvious, right? So this is where the difference comes. Now, uh, if you are talking about the laying of a rigid pavement that is shown here, it means once you have paved that rigid pavement as for cement concrete, then you have to saw it to improve its expansion contraction properties. You have to make the joint deliberately, but there is no need in doing so while you are laying an asphalt concrete. Then do it in lengths of your desirable, and the only joint you are going to find, the longitudinal joint, is the construction joint. The joint at the end of the at the end of the day, or if something, say if the weather change, then we have rain being, the rain is falling and start falling, then it is beyond certain limit, then you have to obviously close the road. There we have a construction joint. And obviously there are ways to do that, but normally you don't have a longitudinal joint or not longitudinal, sorry, transverse joint in the pavement. We do have a longitudinal joint in an asphalt concrete pavement because we lay with lanes and lanes. Normally the paver we can lay around 12 feet at one at a time. A traffic lane is 12 feet. So if you have construct a 2-lane road, 12 feet and 12 feet, then obviously you will have a longitudinal joint between the two lanes. First you do the first lane, then you go for the second lane. So then there will be a construction joint. Now that is also being taken care, But in an cement concrete, you will not only you have a longitudinal joint along the lanes, but you have a transverse joint to take care of thermal expansions. Why? Because the thermal expansion of asphalt concrete is much more less than thermal expansion concrete of cement concrete. That's why we need a joint, a transverse joint in the rigid concrete pavement. Then there are temperature regimes. At what temperature you have to lay the asphalt concrete. Then there are cracking, and then there are what we call a non-destructive testing that you are going to learn to check your pavement. Normally, what you do whenever an asphalt concrete is being laid, you take the core out of it, and the most simple test you do is check the density of the core and compare it with the given density. And if the density of the core is within 98 to 99% of what your design is targeted, then your road is good. And if it is not, then we have to regret your contractor that he has to lay that asphalt concrete again. So this is how, this is what we call it's called a destructive testing, in which you have to take the core out. But there are instruments that without breaking an asphalt concrete, you can take the test. That we call a non-destructive testing, and that also is the part of your course when we once we start with. So there are different requirement, the signings and the materials and the project requirements. Let's talk about the history. About 10,000 years ago, travel on foot. 3,000 before Christ, roads were there in Egypt. Roman Empire, they've started, constructed. They are the ones who have used stones and who use stone as a pavement material. Between 18th century, France, they used broken stones. 1920s to 1930s, we have a rapid road expansion. 50s to 60s, we have interstate highway systems. Then there is a controlling demand. Then there is transportation system, and you name it. Nowadays, we have different technologies, different types of an asphalt concrete being laid, polymer modified asphalt concrete. There are warm mix asphalt concrete. There are many types. Most of them are in the research, uh, in research investigation. Most of the people have adopted, say, rubber modified asphalt concrete and polymer modified asphalt concrete. But in the developing countries like us, we are still struggling with the same old asphalt concrete road. So you can see this early Roman roads. You can see those stormwater drain over there to protect the drain, and then you can see those big boulders being, inserted in the late sand, and then you will have all those stones that are being stacked together, and then there are always the trees uh, there. This is and you can see that you have stones at different layers. These were early Roman roads. Another view